The final major element in our scene is going to be the Drapes Mesh. So let's navigate to your workplace. Make sure you select drapes and you have them visible. Change your item cam so you can see what they look like. I would go ahead and hide the bamboo mesh because it's taking a lot of resources to render that in iView. And then concentrate just on the drapes, as you can see here. Now we want this material to be a very light texture, semi-see-through, enough to break the harsh sunlight but not too transparent. So to start, we're going to go to the drapes material. Now the chrome's already been done, so we don't have to worry about that. Go to the drapes material, add an image map. And we're going to navigate to the textures folder and go to Pool, Look 1, Swatch 6. Let's turn off anti-aliasing. You can see pretty plainly here the scale is too big. So change the horizontal wrap to 16 and 16. Make sure that the UV map is Workplace Drapes, otherwise you won't be able to see the nice projection. Now this size is going to leave us with a nice, tiny, and subtle weave. So change this to bump map. And we're going to actually invert it. So as you can see here, the black represents the grid, and I want that to be the opposite effect. I want the grid to pop out. There we go. Okay. Now let's go back to the material. First off, we're going to make it double-sided because there is no thickness to this mesh. Let's change the colors to something more reasonable. We're going to go for a very light beige color. Bring down the specular to 5%, and we're going to increase the roughness to 70. Then we're going to go to the transparent properties of the cloth, and we're going to increase the subsurface scattering to 50%, and we're going to decrease the scattering distance to 0, again because there is no thickness. Now you'll already noticed that the sunlight's been hitting here and the shadows from the beams are also hitting the fabric, so that's looking pretty good. Now let's increase the transparency amounts to 20%. Okay. And we are going to duplicate the image map. And then we're going to use Pool Look 1 Swatch 6 PNG without the G. And we're going to change this from bump to diffuse color. And we're going to change to screen. And this should add on to our existing amount. Now the next thing we want to do is add a gradient. And what this gradient is going to be based on is the incident angle. So edit the gradient. Add a point here, set it to 90, and the value to 0. So the edge is black and it's white towards the front-facing polygons. We want to grab this and put it as a layer mask inside the bump map. So what this will do is get rid of the bump at the edges, but make it very visible at the front-facing side. Okay. Next up is we're going to add a shader, because you're going to notice that there might be some moire pattern or noise on the actual drapes, and we want to minimize that kind of effect. Drop the shading rate to 0.1 and take the drapes above the base shader. Now if we switch back to our normal camera, switch our render to the normal scene camera, you'll notice that the drapes aren't really reflecting much in the ground or in anything else around here. So there's no reason for Modo to actually calculate this. So we can turn off visible to reflections and refractions, as well as indirect rays. Because it's already kind of semi-see-through, there's no reason for me to calculate all these interactions if it's not going to be that visible. And this would be a very good time just to do a test render.